The 89th Texas legislature is in full swing as over 8,000 bills have been filed. One of the biggest topics this year includes states expanding and mandating 287G agreements, and Texas is part of that effort. We've invited state legislators to come to TPPF to tell us about their bills and make sure you know what they're up to. Today we're going over one of the 287G bills filed by Representative David Spiller, House Bill 2361. This is the layout. I'm Celine Rodriguez, Campaign Director for TPPF's Secure and Sovereign Texas campaign. Today, I'm joined by Representative David Spiller. Sir, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Celine, for having me.
So this is one of my favorite bills filed this session, and it is the expansion and mandate for 287G requirements. First, thank you for filing it, but I'd love for you to tell us, what is 287G?
Well, first of all, it's one of my favorite bills too, but it refers to Section 287G of the U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Act. And what that does is it provides for local law enforcement to contract with ICE to assist in executing criminal warrants of illegal aliens that are here in our country illegally that have active criminal charges pending against them. So it provides for an agreement that can be reached between those law enforcement agencies and ICE to cooperate in that effort.
And you are the only legislator so far who has filed a bill that requires all local law enforcement agencies and not just one type. Why did you take that approach?
Well, I think all law enforcement should be concerned and be willing to cooperate with the federal government. And so in their efforts, especially to secure our state. And so I think it's therefore appropriate to have not just counties, but counties and cities, their law enforcement agencies to cooperate in that respect.
And you're certainly no stranger to that after passing Senate Bill 4 back in 2023. So how does this legislation help states address illegal immigration more effectively?
Okay, well, first of all, the problem is this. At the federal government level, under the President Trump's administration, to execute these warrants and to counteract the things that the Biden administration has done over the past 4 years, we have to adequately address these criminal warrants that are out for folks that pose a serious public safety threat to our citizens. So the only way to do that effectively, at least for the first year and a half to 2 years and beyond, is to have local law enforcement assist ICE in that respect, because the manpower that would be required at the federal level to screen, to hire, to train, to provide necessary resources at that level to do that, we're a year and a half to 2 years into the process to get that done. The only way that we can effectively protect Texans in this regard is to allow local law enforcement to assist, and certainly they should be doing that anyway.
So there's 3 models offered for the 287G agreements. Does your bill specify which model an agency has to enter into, or is it just whichever might best fit them?
Exactly. There's some, there's a jail model, there's a warrant service model, there's some other, but mine does not. All they have to do would be to apply to ICE. They're required to apply to ICE to offer to assist. ICE would enter into a memorandum of understanding with that agency, depending on whatever model that they wanted to assist with, and execute that and follow through. And there could be on some very little cost, if any cost. Others there would be some cost. It just depends on the level that they feel comfortable with. But it's not unfair to ask them to just pick one, do something.
Mm-hmm. And in 2017, the state passed legislation prohibiting sanctuary jurisdictions. But now we're seeing police chiefs and sheriffs come out and say, oh, well, we're not going to comply with this. Or if an illegal alien makes bail, then they make bail. That in itself is a sanctuary jurisdiction. So what is the penalties in your bill for non-compliance, for not requesting the agreement?
Well, if a governmental agency does not comply, then the state can withhold grant funding, but you also allow the Attorney General to come in, initiate litigation against them, and they could recover attorney's fees, court costs, expenses of litigation, those type things, in addition to the punitive parts of not being eligible to receive any grant funding for the following year. So those are currently the penalties under my bill, and I think those are significant because many of these agencies, if not all these agencies, rely on grant funding to be able to operate.
And what kind of feedback are you getting from the law enforcement community about your legislation?
Mostly very positive. We have currently 29 law enforcement agencies in the state of Texas that are participating in this program already. Most of them under the jail program, a few under the warrant program, but most the feedback I'm getting is very good. A few are concerned about cost, but we're trying to address some of those issues as well.
So this is my third session with TPPF, and this is the first session that I'm actually hearing more and more of a conversation about 287G. So what do you think the outlook is? Are we going to see some 287G legislation passed this year?
I think so. I think we have to. I don't think we have a choice. I think this is one of the most important bills that needs to get through the session. We absolutely need to do this to secure Texas and to help secure our country, because under the Biden administration over the last 4 years, we have had countless people come across that are convicted felons, rapists, murderers, child molesters. We have documented terrorists that have poured across our border. We have, in addition to all the drugs and the other things that they bring, we cannot have that. And to undo some of that and reverse some of that, we absolutely have to pass this bill to allow local law enforcement to assist ICE in that respect.
And I could not agree more. Other states are doing it. I believe Texas should continue to lead the way, and I want to thank you for doing that for us this year.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.